Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden. It is a glorious day today. The sun is out, it's clear blue skies, really beautiful. It almost doesn't feel like late autumn at the moment. Honestly, it's just so stunning. And I started the day like I actually start every single day. I just took Alfie and we drove to the beach, but today was really nice. Oh, look there, she's running around. Today was really nice and it almost felt like a little holiday. I think we spent almost 2 hours at the beach, not just walking, I was also kind of like enjoying and looking for some amber and yeah, just enjoying myself basically. But now I'm in the garden and it is a perfect day to really continue with the project that I started with you in one of my previous videos. So you can tell I'm standing in the back of a garden at the slope, at the side that is actually leveled, and I want to continue on the other side of the slope that I want to transform into pretty much the same what's going on this side. And the first thing that I shared with you is when I let down all of the shrubs and everything, built another dead hedge, and this is all looking nice and good. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get in there with my garden fork and try to tackle all of those perennial weeds as good as I can. Because this is exactly what I did on this side of the slope, and it's really worth doing it properly, doing a good job there, because I haven't had a single stingy nettle poke him up anywhere here. So nothing was poking through, everything is good, and this is exactly what I want to do on the other side of the slope as well. Just get out all of the perennial weeds and then I'll start leveling. So then I'm going to take a little bit of time and explain you how I am going to do it. I'm not a handyman. I'm a gardener, so I kind of like do these projects how I feel I can do it, what is in my abilities and capabilities, and I think how I did it here worked well. It does its purpose, it's sturdy, it's stable, it's really good, and this is exactly what I want to do on the other side as well. Just take my time and explain to you how I'm going to do it. By no means this is a professional way of doing it, this is just how I do it basically. But look, I'm also standing here to show you a little bit like, yes, still the black foil, but on top of it I started building another little wicker fence section that it is kind of long actually, because I was using all of the nice branches that I could take from the shrubs that I was cutting down on the other side. And look up there, the dahlias still looking nice. Really want to amp up my dahlia game next year because we haven't had no frost yet. They're still in full bloom in the forecast. There's no frosty night, and I think dahlias are just like the perfect thing, because even though I thought like, oh, they come with a lot of buds, who knows if they open, they do open. Even though it is not really warm anymore, they do open, they continue flowering. It is so beautiful, just stunning. So yeah, this is one of the things that I really want to focus on for next year. But now it's time to tackle the stingy nettles and all the perennial weeds on the other side of the slope. Guys, believe it or not, we're almost at the end of day 2. I mean, the days are quite short at this moment of the year because we're in late autumn, so I have a quite narrow time frame on where I can work with basically. And on top of it, I'm not the fastest with these projects. I really like to take my time and think about it and reevaluate. So this is also, I think, what contributes to this taking me a little longer. But I think this is a good time just like to walk you through a little bit and show you what I did so far. So one thing I really want to say is if you have a slope and you intend on doing something like that, if you have the budget to hire a firm to do it properly and to do it in a real good way, do so. I garden a little bit on a budget and I'm kind of like figuring things out on how I can do it and winging things and exploring on what I can do. And I've done this system on the other side of a slope and it is really safe and sound for me and it works pretty well. So this is why I'm going to mirror the exact same thing on this side of the slope, but I can't take any guarantee that this is going to be like how sturdy and reliable it is in the future because everything is kind of like natural material. So I also got to see how it is going to transform moving forward. So let's see. So far, so good. And I'm very happy with that. So let me just explain you what I did basically. The first thing I did, of course, was just getting in here with my garden fork and weeding everything. So this was at least a good 2 hours, but something I need to do properly, like really get all the stingy nettles out. That was pretty much it. There weren't really a lot of different rooting weeds or anything in here, so this was all easy and fine. What I needed to do as well, like still a little bit of cutting back. So if you remember, there were some hawthorns up there and I needed to cut them back, unfortunately, because now when I know where the terraces are and where I level things out, they were just in a weird position. So 4 of them needed to go, unfortunately. I left one on top there, and I think this is the one that might stay. I hope it will, because I love hawthorn. If it doesn't, I collected seeds and I intend on seeding some of them. So maybe I can just grow some next to the deadwood hedge. I need to see. Like hawthorn in general, it's a really, I love the scent of it. I love to make tea out of the berries. So it's a very nice shrub for your garden and very beautiful on top of it. So I really intend on like bringing something back to this wildlife area here. What I did after the weeding, basically, I started leveling a little bit, kind of like defined where the terrace should basically go. So just found my straight line. So I put like a beam, the vertical beam, one on this side and one on the other side. And then I just took a rope and kind of like made sure that I have a straight line, pretty much. It is pretty straight. And then I just worked my way through with all of these vertical beams, basically hammered them in, and that was hell a lot of work because there were a lot of thick roots here on this mid layer, basically. A lot of stones I really encountered, a lot of stones, so that was quite difficult, unfortunately, and took a lot more time out of me than what I thought. But it's something I wanted to do properly. Also level things out. So I had my bubble level or water level. I'm not sure how you say it. I think water level is the right word of saying it. So you could see in my video that I was really trying to level things out, that all the beams are pretty much on the exact same height. Something that I haven't done on the other side of the slope, and now I kind of regret it. And I think this is going to look a lot better already. Now, just by what I see, I think this is that was worth it, and this is a good thing of doing. So after I put in all of my vertical beams, I was focusing on my horizontal support system. And what I do is I use a plastic mesh. This is quite a thick one and a sturdy one. And I would always recommend trying to use something like this because this is what holds all of the weight in the end, and you don't want to use anything flimsy or anything that might break down or can't support basically all the pressure that comes from the top, from the soil that is going to rest on here. So what I did, you saw it, is I use thick bamboo canes and I was just weaving them into the plastic wire, kind of as my horizontal support. So I was really using a lot of them. And then what I do is I put this construction behind the vertical beams. And it's important that it's behind it because as you build your terraces, all the weight is going to come from the top weight on here, so that the vertical support basically pushes against the horizontal support pushes against the vertical beams, because otherwise if it was facing the outside, it would just kind of like push away and then it was worth nothing. So this is really important that your horizontal support is behind your beams basically. What I did then is I tied the support on each beam on the top so it is secure. That took some time as well. And one other thing that I did, some of the beams I said I encountered some stones or some roots, so they were like a little not in a straight line at one point, so I just came in with some thick branches here and kind of just like brought back the beams that were like not positioned so well. So everything is pretty much in a good straight line at the moment, so I'm really happy about that. What I did next basically is to focus more on the horizontal support, and this is almost a little bit like building a raised bed. So I use a lot of cuttings from shrubs. Like in your back there is like the farmland, and there is kind of like a lot of like wild shrubs growing, mainly elderberries. So I cut them back hard and a lot because what I want is that a lot of sun is able to come into this area. So in your back this is west facing, and especially in summer we have really long days here. So I want to make sure that this area will be sun filled for the biggest parts of the day, which is brilliant for any kind of like fruit and vegetable growing. So I trimmed back the shrubs quite hard, and I could really use all of that material beautifully because I really pressed it in a lot of the branches, cut them all in, so there's even more horizontal support as weight is going to press from the top of the slope down here. What I did next is I still had some turf from one of my previous projects in the garden, so I could just utilize those, put them on top here already, so that they press it down, firm it down a little bit already, all of the branches, and then I put like a few more branches on top of it here, so that my entire horizontal support system is kind of in place and looks good. The next thing I did is I came in with my spade and I basically dug a trench all the way along here, kind of like 10, maybe 15 centimeters deep. And this is because when you put your landscape fabric in, you kind of need to anchor that landscape fabric. So the first thing I did is I put the landscape fabric over my entire support system here, so that there is a double layer on the inside and on the outside. On the inside maybe just like, I don't know, 40 centimeters, just overlapping. So on the top, when all the soil comes in, I make sure that none of the soil can kind of like push out or fall out, so it's kind of like really nice and firm. And what I did then basically is kind of like just stopped here to show you basically, but I would just run the entire landscape fabric over here to the from one side to the other, and then I started tying it up like every meter, maybe meter and a half, just to make sure that it is supported here as well. And now why I use a trench is extra landscape fabric is in the trench, and then I could backfill it with the soil, really firm it in well. So now it has a good attention on it and it's not going to like flap in the wind or anything. So it's really nicely anchored in the soil and also on top of it. One reason why I'm using landscape fabric, or there's like many reasons actually. First reason, it's easy and it is quite cost efficient. What I figured is, since this side is west facing, the black landscape fabric is going to reflect the sun, hold the warmth, and everything that was growing here actually came pretty good, easy, and earlier even in the year. So like all the things that was growing on the other side of a slope, obviously, because there was a black landscape fabric. So even things that if I'm growing something here next to the black landscape fabric, things will thrive pretty well. So this is a good bonus actually, even though it's not visually pleasing or anything, but at least trying to make the best out of it. And of course, building these terraces, the landscape fabric suppress any kind of weeds or anything, so I at least know that the entire side is safe and sound, no weeds are flying in, I don't need to take care of anything happening here. So this is definitely a good reason on why I'm using the black landscape fabric. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'm not even sure if I'm going to do it now because we're late afternoon again, the day nears its end, so maybe this is going to be a 3-day project in the end. I need to come in here and just really work on the top layer. Because when I built the top layer, in my head I thought, I'm just gonna level it out, just use it, and then the rest of the slope, forget about it, never touch it. But since I had so much fun and success on the other side of a slope, this summer I decided, no, I really want to get in here and also transform this side of a slope, which means that I really need to focus on what I did up there, because that was kind of like a quick fix and not a proper thing. As you can see, there's no landscape fabric, so I just used some of the ornamental grass cuttings, put some vertical beams in there, and it's all like a little not perfectly done, let's put it that way. But it's good now for me because I have a lot of material there that I could just use, push it all down and really try and level out this entire area here, so really backfill everything. So I think definitely by tomorrow the 2 layers will be ready. The top layer, of course, I need to do like another kind of like stabilizing system then, but the step won't be that high, not nearly as high as this, is maybe half the height, I think, which will make the project a lot easier and faster. But what I did on top of it is like, I will have 3 layers basically. So I have a top layer and I plan on putting raised beds on the top layer. And this is also one of the future projects I want to share with you then. I really want to show you how I build raised beds and talk you through the advantages of raised beds and all of that, what kind of vegetable you can grow inside of them. So I have the top layer, then I have my second layer, my third layer down here, which is going to be the widest layer. And that excites me because it really gives me the opportunity to grow a lot and a lot of good things. And what I can use is like, again, I still have a lot of shrubs there where I could just like fill it up here at the base. I have the compost heap here on my left basically, which is for all of the perennial cuttings that we cut back in March each year. So there is a lot of material that I can just like really shovel in here as well. I have the turf that I will take out from the new perennial or herbaceous border in the back of a garden and then top dress it with some really fresh, nice soil. So I know I have a lot of material, so I can really just like fill up this entire area, and that gives me 3 good terraces I could really utilize for my fruit and veg growing next year. So there's just like this narrow strip just in front of you basically, then there is a deadwood hedge, and behind you I intend on putting some lovely fruit trees, like some, I don't know, a fig. I was thinking about like a yellow peach eventually, apple, something like a pink crisp I had in mind, or Fuji. Just like I really like these like fresh, crisp kind of apples. Maybe a pear. I need to see. I've done a little research already, so I'm really excited about that project as well. And this is basically what I want to do with this area. So what I'm going to do now is like finish the business with a black foil here and then really get in there. Let's see how much I can still manage today. And I think by the end of tomorrow, I can show you the final result of at least the 2 first terraces. I'm so excited about it, you have no idea. You guys, I've made it. It took the entire amount of 4 days out of me to get to the point where I'm at now, but I'm happy that I made it. There was a moment where I was like, okay, it's really exhausting and I just need a break for a week or two and then I'm going to continue them. But in the evening, I was just looking at my seed order for all the lovely vegetables that I want to grow in here. And that really gave me the drive to continue. And I was like, no, I'm really going to make it work. Just keep on going and just do it. Because everything, as you could see, was manual labor. I was just really using my spade, my garden fork, my rake, everything that I had in the garden shed, basically. And what I want to do now is just flip my phone and walk you through the area a little bit and just talk you through what I've done, what I still need to do, what I want to grow where, and just about the entire process, basically. So I'm going to enter the slope now from the garden with you guys, and you get to see basically, yes, our neighbors are farmers, so they put all the machinery there. We always get to see it, but that's all right. That's okay for me. So this is basically how the situation is right now. So you kind of know the top layer already because I was working there with you, and you get to see I really need to clean it. I really need to get in there and just tidy up all of my mess, but not today. I'm exhausted. There was it. I'm going to call it a day after this video. And I've got some iris in here, so some things where I think I'm still going to replant them this year even, just to prepare everything as much as I can. But then you see there's a big terrace basically here. And what I did, I already leveled everything. I put some good fresh garden soil on top of it. And you see there's like this weird metal mesh thingy here. So I'm just going to walk you down so you get to see everything better now. So this is not how I would normally enter this space. This is just like via the compost heap now, but this is the easiest one how to get on here. So yeah, somehow buried in here there was this metal wire thingy here, and I tried to get it out, but I couldn't. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to bend it up and leave it there. And you see there's no support system in place yet. So this is what I still need to do. So I'm going to come in there afterwards and just put a support system there. But the soil is really compact and trampled down over the last year, basically. So nothing's really going to happen there. I'm really happy about that. So this is going to be a quick fix actually, and you get to see already how the soil structure is working here. So it's really kind of like an ombre effect, almost from like nice brownish good soil on top, and then it goes into yellow. So at one point I'm just digging straight into sand basically. So I tried to get out a lot of that sand and just mix it with the nice soil. But anyways, I top dressed everything here with a good thick layer of like fresh garden compost. So straight from the bag, it's really just this lovely, soft, crumbly texture, really good to grow anything inside. I did the same thing on the other side of the slope, so I know this works really, really well. And what I want to grow on this area is kind of like my onions. I thought about like some celery, leeks, bell peppers, all those kind of things. Maybe some beets, maybe some yellow beets or something. A lot of things where I can do like a direct sowing basically. Beans definitely at the end. I want to put like some steaks there and put some steak beans there at the back. Because this is like the side that gets like the most, not the most sun, but if I would put the beans here at the front, it would shade everything behind it. So it needs to go like from smallest, basically from here needs to be the smaller things, and then always grow bigger, 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 taller, taller, and then the beans basically here in the back. So this is kind of like how I plan on doing it here. Then on this entire top layer, I really want to get in there and just replant all of the iris and everything. Got a lot of bearded iris, but they're so sturdy here. They're almost growing like weeds, so I know I can definitely get in there and replant them. So I prepare this entire area for my raised beds. So up there, I just want to put raised beds to grow some herbs, salads, maybe potatoes even in raised beds. I need to see. So this is kind of like the plan that I have for this top area here. And of course, I also want to put in some flowers, like some cosmos or something to make it look a little nice, especially here, like in front of here, like between the raised bed and where I have the little wicker fence situation going on. I really want to put some nice things here. So it doesn't only look like food production. It should also be something like visually pleasing. I need to have some flowers or something in here. And then the bottom layer. So this is kind of like how the situation is looking right now. You get to see there's a lot of stakes still. There's the compost heap here on the left. And then on the right, you see I already prepared basically. So if I go with my finger, I hope I can make it work. There's a beam there, and then there's a rope, and then my finger's dirty, yes. There's a second beam. So this is kind of like the dimension of that terrace. And I removed a lot of the soil that I didn't need on this layer here already down there. So I can really get in there at one point, which I don't know when that is going to happen, but put all of the horizontal beams in there and really do the exact same thing to what I've done here. Just really level things out. I'm not going to put an entire layer of topsoil on there because the bottom layer I want to grow some pumpkin vines, some squashes, maybe courgettes. This is the plan for that area. So I'm fully going to mulch it with wood chips, and only where I will put the plants, I'm going to put some fresh soil, basically, some fresh compost in there. So yeah, that is pretty much how far I came in the past 4 days, and I'm really happy and excited about that. You guys, that is it for today's video. You can see I'm sitting on my favorite spot in the garden, at least for this year, on the bench at the back of the slope. And normally when the sun is out, this is so beautiful because this is like west facing, so I have the evening sun in my face. So what I want to do, just gently swing around so you get to see actually what I'm normally looking at. So in my back, this is where west is, west facing, and there's all the farmland, and it's really nice and lovely, kind of tranquil and relaxing to sit here and just take it all in actually. And of course, Alfie's just down there with me. She's always with me in the garden. So cute. Even like when I was digging and everything, and she was behaving really well. I had moments where I thought like, oh my, let's see how that goes. She was digging a little bit, but not bad. So this is really, really good, and that makes me happy and positive about the veg garden, because I know whatever I'm going to sow there, she's not going to go and then rake it all over. This is all good, because in the end, she's also going to benefit from it, because little Miss Alfie loves to munch on carrots, and I plan on growing 2 different kind of carrots next year. So I think she's going to be very, very happy with the fruit of my labor for next year. So what do you think about today's video and about the progress that I'm making here? I'm really intrigued to hear from you. This is like something, a journey I really want to take you on with from the first moments I was showing you like a couple of weeks ago how I was clearing the top layer, already started tackling that, and then like letting down all of the shrubs and everything. And now this video, it looks kind of like a nice, probably 20-25 minute video. I don't know how long it's going to be. But in reality, this was like 4 entire days of really working here and getting in there, and I had a moment where I was really exhausted about it, but now seeing it, how it all comes together, I'm so happy and so energized, and I can't wait for next year. Really can't wait to get in there and sow my seeds, do some direct sowing, do some station sowing, and just really try and challenge myself with this, because normally I'm not so much the fruit and veg gardener. So far I was always more into the side of like flowers and perennials. I'm kind of big on perennials and grasses and all of that. So this is something really new and intriguing for me, and I think this year really I got the bug, basically being so successful with what I did with the bell peppers, with generally the harvest, with the beans. I'm always good with beans though, because I know what I'm doing there. But pumpkins, I was such a success this year that I was like so determined, and my goal pretty much is that next summer I don't need to buy any vegetable in the supermarket, that I can only harvest for myself from the garden, and just maybe I can even just give things away if I have too much. I need to see, but this is kind of my goal that I have. So if there's anything in terms of like vegetable that you really want to recommend me, like a variety where you say like this is worth it, try to get your hands on it, just drop me a line. I can just tell you what kind of things I want to grow. I really want to focus on different kind of bell peppers and maybe chilies, because those are things that I really love to eat. I want to grow celery, never grown it before, and leek, because those are 2 things that I always have in the fridge, and I love to eat both of those things. I even watched myself a YouTube video on how actually to grow leek, because I had no idea how to do it, because my parents never grew, my grandparents never grew it, and I can tell you I would have done it completely wrong. So lucky me that I watched that YouTube video of somebody telling me. I want to, of course, I want to grow like potatoes, carrots, different kind of salads, herbs, all those kind of things, pumpkins, squashes, courgettes, the easier kind of things. Like courgettes are dang easy to grow. So I really want to focus on those things, and I hope that you're excited to see the entire progress, how it continues, and how successful I will be hopefully next year with that. Maybe there will be like failures as well. I really want to show you everything, like the good things, the bad things, anything and everything. What I need to do now basically is like, I think I have like 10 more minutes of sunlight in here. So I got all of my tools still sitting in the back of a garden. So I need to bring everything now quickly back into the garden shed. I hope that you also had a fun, great day in your own garden or on your balcony, or if you're just like somewhere outside in nature. I just want to say thank you for watching today's video, and I'd love to welcome you in one of my coming videos in my garden very soon again. Until then, take care. Bye.